All right. Let's see. Can you guys see the slides?
Nope, just you.
Just me. Okay, let me see. Let me share. Okay. Up and now.
Yep.
Yes.
All right. All right. Let me see. Let me double check. We have we have two contributors, or at least one going to demo the GUI. Are you here? Let me see. Double check.
I've texted him.
Okay.
See if he's
Yeah, I'm in.
You're
okay.
perfect. All right. Let's see. I'm just going to go through a few quick introductions and then answer a few facts, and then I'm going to leave the forum to demo, and then after that I'll just have this be open for all Q&A sessions. So I'll try to answer as much as I can, and hopefully it'll be a fruitful discussion. All right. Um, so before I start, so for those who want to know more about this project, here are the resources. We have a Discord channel where we are pretty active in discussing the automation as well as quite a few other technical topics or even image topics for Seestars. We have a Facebook group. Uh, we also gonna publish all these videos through the YouTube channel, and the source of the projects is in the GitHub. So um, this is all the resources that we have shared to move forward. So again, what is this? This is Seestar Alp. It's an open source platform to control and automate sea stars. Um, so and some of the updates, because it seems like there's quite a few success stories that's been posted, so I just want to have this video conference just to get everybody on the same page and see, hopefully get more people to start using it and see how useful this platform could be to automate what you want to do with CStart. So there's been quite a bit of success stories being posted. I saw quite a few of mosaics being generated and scheduling done over. I've heard even like 6 or 7 or 8 targets scheduled all nights, and seems to be working pretty well. I'm being very happy to hear quite a few generous developers are contributing to the code base, which is exactly what I'm hoping. Is that I just got this source code started, but ultimately it's really a community effort, and the more people, more developer add into their knowledge and work into it, it's going to be that much more useful for people. And I'm also very happy to hear that quite a few installation instructions and pathways has been contributed and shared. Docker installations, much better instructions than I had before. And in fact, I heard some, I think PC just put a PR into the GitHub to do Mac Stellarium integrations with any driver, which is fantastic. In fact, I'm actually using a Linux box and in fact Raspberry Pi to control my Seestars. In fact, it's a bonus is that I'm actually using Seestar as my Raspberry Pi. So I'm actually install everything in my Raspberry Pi right now. And then even more exciting to hear is that we actually have two contributors checking in a really nice looking web-based GUI that controls everything. Controls a subset of what we have so far, and moving forward, sounds like is that there's going to be more features going to add into the GUI. So it's fantastic, and it sounds like there would be a nice demo in this session. So I want to kind of go through a few facts. It's a little bit more involved, so instead of posting my comments, it's better to lay it out and just kind of get people aware what can be done and what cannot be done. So some of the questions I have so far are, how do we image below horizon? That was one of the issues I was trying to tackle early on before, and I think I fixed it. I think I figured it out. It's right now. I think I can make it easier, but I give you the basic idea how it's done, and then I think moving forward, I'll probably add a little bit better logic to make it foolproof. Um, I want to show you how to access actively stacked images. And then I think I just got a message asking how to generate flats. But again, if there are any more questions more than this, I'm happy to answer these questions at the end of this presentation. All right. So a lot of these slides are in my old slides, so I won't go through this. I'm just kind of go through, just really flip through these. These were the old slides. So what are the goals for automations? So again, is doing mosaics, the whole night sessions, and also integrating Stellarium or Planetarium software to control and access Seestars, multiple Seestars. Right. Um, Let me see. So, uh, so the basic idea with Seestar again is that we want to have a daemon, what we call Seestar Alp, running in the background. Um, and in this Seestar Alp, then we can put all kind of front end application in front to control it. So, for example, you can use Stellarium or any browser or any API drivers, or now even a GUI. At the same time, you can also still using Seestar app to control Seestars. And then again, you can use this to control multiple Seestars. All right. So I'm gonna kind of go through a little bit about the questions now. Let me see. Okay. Okay. Let's kind of dig into the imaging below horizon. Um, what happened? What I realized, there were some questions before, and I have some question myself. Is it limited by hardware or limited by software? And I concluded that it's purely a software limitation. What this means is that when the when when the C star using plate solve figure out that the arm is below the horizon, it's software limited in that it will not allow you to move the mount, or will not allow you to stack. So that was the issue before, and ideally, and I realized that if they really want to fix it, it's a one-line change for them. But we've been asking them for them to open this up, but it sounds like they're not really entertaining the idea. So I went ahead and figured out how to fix it. So to do this, let me show you how this is done. Is that um, in the let me see if I can show you my see my so here's my Bruno. So under Move, there is a page called Set Below Horizon Deck Offset. So what this means, what this means is that I can set a, I can actually fool C star to think it's pointing in a position that is offset by the deck value. So you can think of that when the arm is below horizon, I can tell C star that it's actually not below horizon. It's actually, let's say, 10 degrees, where the deck value is 10 degrees higher than what it actually is. So if I tell C star that, then lo and behold, it will let me do whatever I want. That means I can actually tell it to start to move, and I also can tell it to stack. And I proved that, and I image, I think, the one of the DSOs before, and verify that it does work. So the way to do that here is that you change this offset to a positive value. So, for example, if you have a target where the DAG value is minus 15, I can change the offset to 20. So in which case, then the Seestar would think everything is off by 20 degrees in the DAG position. Um, so that's how you fool Seestar. So that's the key to get you to go ahead and do imaging that's below horizon. Now there is a caveat is that now Seestar itself, the firmware, think it's actually above. So if you actually are using a planetarium software to try to figure out where you are, it's going to point to a different position that not what you expected. So that's why what you need to do is that you have to use the Seestar Alp as the intermediate. So all the planetary software has to connect to Seestar Alp so that all the positioning, what you see on the screen is what you think it is. So that's one of the key. The other key is that if I if I just simply do this, what happened with Seestar is that when you start stacking, what it does is that after the first image it collects, it does a plate solve. And when it tries to plate solve, it recognizes, oh my God, the image is actually below horizon. Then even if I full it, it will stop. So the way I worked around that is that I disconnected their plate solve and I invoked the plate solve myself. So I actually used my own plate solve logic in the code. So those are the kind of things I have to work around to undo what Seestar software had its software limitation. Uh, I was hoping that Seestar ZWO would actually just fix it with just one line change, but since they're not doing it, so this is the hacky workaround. It does work, but that's how you do it. All right. Does that make sense? Any questions about this one before I move to the next one? Everything good? All right. So let me move to the next one here. So the next one is how to access images. So there is actually a folder in here on files. So if you see right here, one thing I want to highlight is that anything you actually do with the Seestar Alp, Seestar application from ZWO itself, it can be automated in that what we are doing is that anything that you interact through the official software, it actually do send a command to Seestar. And if we know what the command is, then we can actually replicate that and put that in Seestar Help. So what that means is that anything you can do on the application itself, we can actually do. It's just that we have not fully captured everything, but if there's a need, we can do that. And anybody can actually add more features into Seestar Alp itself. The other thing I want to highlight is that, and this is my suggestion, is that I would go ahead and turn off any software update from Seestar. What I've seen last month or two is that all these updates, what I've seen are very kind of gimmicky updates. I don't see any of substance, and all those features actually already in the firmware. So realistically, I don't see a need for me to update the software itself, and so I've turned off the automatic updates. Um, so that's my suggestion if you want to move forward. One concern I have is that I have no idea what they're going to do in the future about the software. So I know what's there right now, and I think I can do anything I want that I need with what we have so far. So that's my suggestion. All right. Now so the reason I kind of highlight this is that if you want to, in the current app, you can actually browse through the whole album and go through the images, and in fact, you can also see the current image. So I've captured those commands. So for example, you can get the full album, by issuing this.
Kai, I think it's still queuing people up in the waiting room. You might want to check and see if there's.
Okay, let me check. me stop sharing and see. Here we go. All right. Okay, welcome. So let me go back to my presentation. All right. Can you see my screen
Yeah.
now? Okay.
Yes.
All right. So right here, if for people who want to add on top of the GUI that you want, so here's the command to get all the albums. So you can actually drill down, and everything you see here are all the albums, the thumbnails. And I've realized the reason why Seestar had all these JPEGs in these folders is simply to generate these GUIs on the catalog. So that's why I have all these small thumbnails and stuff. But that's why I don't delete it simply because I can actually make use of them. Um, there's actually one in here where it's get the last. Let's see. Get here we go. So there's a command here to get the last image being stacked. So if you call that, it'll return back a URL of that actual image. So this is how you can actually, if you want, and you actually, I'm hoping the GUI guys will actually incorporate this in, as well as that. You can actually have the current stacked image being presented as it's stacking over the session. Again, the key here is that anything you can actually do with the Seestar app, Seestar application itself from CWO, it can be done automatically here. And the other thing I want to highlight is that because the way it's designed is that any of these commands, you can actually create a scheduler item into it. So you can actually automate anything you do. It's as if a human is typing or interacting with the app. So that it's doable. I haven't really spent too much time in extending all that, but the infrastructure is there. I hope that that's clear. All right. I think the third one that I'm trying to answer is how do I do flats? So I imagine that to do flat is nothing but just acquiring an image. So there is a command to do stack, or so you can actually tell it to create image stacks, and just tell it don't go to a target. You just put a sheet over your screen or maybe a LED panel, and just tell it to stack, and then just collect the raw images. Again, for people who are new to Seestar Alp, there is a command for you to capture all the raw frames. So that's how you collect raw frames or flat frames or even dark frames, right? So that's pretty much that's how I do flats. All right, that's the kind of questions I've been hearing, and I'm hoping to answer these. Hope this is clear. If not, go ahead and ask away. But before I do that, I would like to open the floor to the contributors that are presenting the GUI demo. The other thing I want to highlight is that a contributor called PC just had a PR on how to on an indie driver for Seestar Alp. So that means now that any indie driver compliant application like Planetarium software in Mac or Linux can now be integrated with this platform. So that's fantastic. I have not merged that PR into the GitHub yet, but I think he suggested just do just sanity check before I merge everything. So I'll take his advice and I'll do a sanity check. Okay. All right. I'll stop sharing the screen now. So I'm looking forward to see the GUI demo. All right.
So I guess that's my cue.
Go for it.
Yeah. Hi. So if you're on the Discord server, which you probably are if you're here, I'm I think it's Erwan or Random Erwan. You often is the handle, but my name's Stephen Burns. My the other my partner in crime, as it were, Brian Hauber, is not here tonight. He had another obligation, so he wasn't able to make it. So, but yeah, so just a real quick, he's actually partly the reason why I ended up kind of building the GUI. What happened was, so I have a YouTube channel and I do like live streams, and a lot of involves Seestar related things. And I've been wanting to use the automation for a while, but I just hadn't gotten around to it. And actually, Brian had been on a couple of the live streams, and he had mentioned that he had been using it, or he had just started using it, and so that kind of prompted me to kind of forced me to. I'm like, well, I should go ahead and do it. I actually, especially because I have two Seestars, and sometimes I have an issue juggling both of them and trying to get them going at two different targets, and so the API was like a great solution. So I had started looking at it, and it was about, I guess, like Brian was looking at the API, and he was setting up some mosaics, and I was thinking, like I could write a web front end for like a couple of the screens, because that's one of the things I do. So I went ahead and kind of prototyped out a few of the screens, and I had kind of shared it with a few other people, including Brian, and he was like, he was very positive about it immediately, wanting to kind of add some features to it and stuff. And so kind of the rest was history. I shared it with the main Discord server, and so we created a pull request and had it merged, the initial version of it, but we have a better update now that I need to merge. I was hoping to open the pull request before the meeting, but or before this meeting, but I had merge conflicts, and I think they may have been self-inflicted. But anyhow, so let me share.
Stephen, didn't you start working on it last Saturday?
Yes. Yes,
okay.
Yes, I did.
Which I think everybody ought to know how great that is, that it has come this far in under a week. Okay, yeah. I want to thank you for your work on that.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I don't always want to. Sometimes I want to downplay that, but I basically wrote the bulk of it Saturday afternoon on last weekend, because I was going to do the reason was I kept mentioning, like, Brian was starting to use the API, and I haven't used Bruno before, but I had used Postman and Insomnia and some of those other those API tools. And I guess for this kind of the sake of the live stream, I was thinking it was Saturday night. I was like, well, let me see if I can like quickly put together a web interface for the live stream. And it was actually kind of funny because I had kind of given it to Brian, and then I kind of posted something to the Discord, and then I went off for like a few hours on the live stream, and like Brian was like messaging me that, there's people talking about it on the Discord. I'm like, oh, I should probably look at it after I'm done. So that was kind of funny. But yeah, so and this is just kind of like the initial. Basically, what I was trying to do is get the scheduling aspect, and especially like the mosaic, because that was one of the more complicated API calls as far as like the parameters and making sure you kind of it, kind of making it a little bit more approachable. What was my hope. And so anyway, but yeah, I built that, and then and so yeah, that's why there's not a lot of API calls, or not. There's a lot that still aren't in there, but I know Brian was probably this weekend going to start taking a crack at some of them, like some of the movement related ones and a few other ones. Like we were talking about it before, just earlier this afternoon, because he was asking me about like specific API calls if I knew what they did, and so we were like looking through the code. But yeah, so it's going through quick iteration, and it's been good because like I got it out there, and there was like immediate feedback, and like one of them was to move the stats to the initial page, which I then did, and then Flask was kind of problematic, so that's going to be part of that PR that I need to merge, or that I need to submit. That rewrote it in Falcon. And then there's some extra validation Brian added to it, and some other kind of tweaks. He also added so you'll see the version that's going to be the one that I'm with the part of the pull request, but I don't know if it was committed yet, but he added a one-shot kind of image, and also scheduled image, which is actually just using Mosaic under the hood. It's just hard coding it to be a 1x1 Mosaic 100% overlap. And so it's just kind of a simplified one and again, a lot of it was kind of driven by what Brian and I were wanting to do. Like I was wanting to be able to do mosaics a little kind of like through a web interface, and he wanted to queue up basically individual kind of targets that he's kind of been in the process of going through the entire Messier catalog. And so he was trying to schedule some of the things that he was missing without having to stay up all night. So I actually have a screenshot of that I'll share in a moment. But let me share the screen if I can present now. Okay. I'm going to do this screen. Okay. All right. Don't share or browser window. Yeah. It's warning me not to do an infinity mirror, but I have it on a second monitor, so we can avoid that. So here you go. Here's the initial screen for the web interface. It's very simple, no authentication, but it's kind of pulling. There's an API call where it returns a lot of information about the state of the Seestar, some health related things, disk utilization. I didn't put all of them on the screen. I just cherry picked a few. A lot of them are ones that I was kind of interested in, like how much free space is on the Seestar. Is the dew heater on? Is auto power off? What's the focus? The compass direction. Brian was actually using that as part of his for his polar alignment, and I actually, this is the Seestar right next to me. If you can see it on the video, this is actually the one that's on here. So as I rotate it, it should update. It's set to auto refresh, I think, every 15 seconds. Yeah, so you can see the compass directions like changed. It's at 143 degrees, and
Cool.
it should be. Did it update? Anyway, so you can you get the idea. Oh yeah, 184. And it has the temperature and the battery temperature. Partly because I think I added the battery temperature because it won't charge if the battery is above a certain temperature, and especially when I'm running it outside in the sun in Texas, I was kind of curious if it hits that threshold, and so that's why I added that. And right now this is the exact same screen as the stats screen, except for the title. But I left this here because I was going to expand this to have like maybe all of the stats that are on that particular screen, maybe with a collapsible view. Here's the kind of the one-shot kind of image. we have a mosaic, and these are like instant kind of, you set up something and it immediately runs. But then there's also the schedule page, and most of this is working right now. It has the wait until, wait for, the autofocus isn't currently set up. Image, where you can do the one-shot image. Here you can define a mosaic, and then you can schedule a shutdown. And I know Brian's actually, I've done like a subset of, I've done the wait until, done a mosaic, and then shut it down. And he's done a number of targets with a series of wait fors. So that way, if one of them completely failed, it wouldn't immediately go to the next one. It would, like, he basically was spacing them out every half hour and like a 20-minute session. Again, this was for individual targets, stuff like, various globular clusters or other things where maybe he didn't need as long of an exposure. And I should mention, one of the other things he did do is he made some adjustments to like the scheduler, because of I need to redo this kind of interface where the toggle scheduler, where you can kind of flip it. If it's running, it stops it. If it's stopped, it'll start running it. And we were running into issues where it kind of ended up in an in-between state, and it got stuck. I don't think I'll do a scheduled one. I think I'll just do a one-shot one. But you can see, and we Brian added the clear schedule, so I can go like 2300, and so it's going to wait till 2300, and I'm going to say I'm going to do M16, and I have no idea what M16 is, so I'm just going to go minus one, and I'm going to do it for 1800 seconds, gain of 80. Light pollution filter, and submit. And now you see that it'll go ahead and run that. It'll wait until 11 p.m. and then it'll go ahead and go to that target. Now,
after you start the scheduler.
Yeah, after you schedule it. Yeah, like I can go ahead. So I was going to go switch to the. I actually have. This is on the screen. On the left side is the Seestar ALP, and on the right here is the new web API. And so you can see it's just, but if I go bring up, let me see, if I go ahead and turn on the scheduler, you can see it went ahead and started the scheduler over here. And likewise, I can stop it, and it stopped it. So it's pretty responsive. It's a fairly lightweight application, but like I say, we have a lot of plans of more functionality to add to it to try to at least as much as possible, fully support the API or Seestar ALP. So I'm going to go ahead and clear out a schedule. I'm going to, just for grins, do, what was it going to be? Markarian and 12 hour, 27 minute. This is totally not aligned, so I'm just going ahead and firing something off, because I like doing live demos that may or may not work. Why not? 100%. I should have done the one-shot one, but actually, you know what? I'll do a 2x2. It really won't do anything, but I mean, we won't run it long enough. But so I'm good. So this is actually a coordinate of supposedly Markarian's chain.
But you wouldn't want 100% on this now, right?
No, you're right. 50%. So let's go ahead and, actually, I'm going to go ahead and do this like this. Oh, and one thing I have tested, we haven't fully exercised it, but actually, except for the kind of the schedule at the top, most of this kind of degrades okay for a mobile size device. Because I kind of wanted, and Brian was wanting to load this up all on a Raspberry Pi, and he was going to go camping, and so I was kind of trying to make sure that the UI didn't completely fall apart on smaller devices. So it seems to be okay, but it may still have some rough edges, but we'll address those. So I'm just going to go ahead and submit this, and I have it split so you can see what the Seestar Alps has. And actually, if all goes well, I don't know how well this is going to work, because I realized I had it sitting on the rubber feet, and so it wouldn't be able to rotate. So I propped it up. So we'll see if this actually works. Hey, it's rotating, and so there you go. Oh, I half suspected that would happen, but at least you can see that it's like trying to go to the target, and yeah, and so you can see it. You know, it was and it's trying to do the first panel. So you can see on the left side, it says Markarian _11 or 11. So, and that's about right. It's somewhere up in the sky here at this point. Although I think technically it's there. It's actually now trying to rotate, but because I fell off my little stand, it's not rotating. But yeah, so that's, and actually if I go ahead and toggle the scheduler, it'll stop immediately trying to go anywhere. But yeah, that's about it. Oh, and I wanted to show, I was going to show, so Brian, he has been kind of stress testing this more than I have. I'll shoot like a couple of targets. I've been doing a fairly small mosaic of the North American Nebula, mostly because my sky is really highly constrained, but he has a bit more sky, although fairly constrained. But this was an actual schedule that he set up using the app or using the web interface. So you can see where he had it firing off every half hour, doing a 1-by-1 mosaic of a variety of targets. And he said the only issue he ran into is he misentered the coordinates for a few of them. But besides that, it went through and got everything just fine. And then shut itself down at the end of the night.
You know, it'd be nice if you can actually import and export this. So you can actually plan a very thorough schedule without.
Yeah. I've got a couple ideas on that, but yeah, something like that would be good. But yeah, I've been thinking about kind of, so in the source code, I have like a little roadmap.md file where I've been kind of throwing just different ideas in there. Some of them are kind of blue sky, but yeah, something to be able to manage it, because again, it's one of them was just kind of solving my own problem, like, because I often can only image things for about 2 hours before they end up obstructed by a building. I live in a fairly built up area. And so to be able to image something, to be able to do a big enough mosaic of the North American Nebula, I really have to do it over quite a few nights. And I don't want to have to, re-enter the exact same coordinates over and over again. And so that's one thing that is actually fairly high on my list, is some kind of workflow related things to kind of make that a little bit easier, especially for those kind of things. Like if you're doing like multi-day mosaics.
Nice.
I haven't figured out exactly. I have a few ideas, but I haven't figured out exactly how I want to do that. But yeah, that's a good suggestion. But yeah, any questions?
Looks really polished. Fantastic.
So it's like if you put in -1, it'll go do the mosaic. There was a question in the chat. If you do -1 for the right ascension and declination, it will. If you do -1 for each, it'll just start where it's currently pointed. Kind of as the initial point. And I've actually used that because again, just like Brian, I misentered the coordinates for the North American Nebula, and it ended up saying it was below the horizon, which it very much wasn't. And so, plus I wasn't sure if it was unobstructed at a certain point in the evening. And so I'm like, well, let me just go ahead and point at it through the app, take a short exposure, make sure I can see it, and then I'll go ahead and schedule like the mosaic. And I've done that a few times, and it worked fine. Just entering the -1, -1.
Actually, here's a trick that I use quite a bit is that I use the sync function
Mm-hmm.
to move it to a target I want. And
Mm-hmm.
then once I sync it, then I use -1 and then add an entry to the scheduler.
Okay.
I was worrying about syncing too many that we actually maybe pollute the sky model. So I was
Mm-hmm.
thinking maybe I would do this mode only when the scheduler is in edit mode or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So you can actually kind of skip to a lot of different targets in Planetarium software and then go ahead and use -1 over and over again. So that's one trick.
Okay.
Did you notice it polluting your sky model by
No,
syncing?
not really. I think it's just I always do a sync at the end anyway when I'm done. So it get to a nice point.
Okay.
So far so good.
So Steve, Kai, when we get this pull done and to somewhere stable, I'll recreate the exe files
Okay. Great.
Fantastic.
for,
Great.
for people that want to just do
Yeah.
have the single file load.
Yeah. And I know that's been I've gotten some feedback from some people that it's been very helpful, the executable. So
Yeah, good. I from what I've seen on the other Seestar Facebook groups and
Yeah.
in the Discord, a few people are using it.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. I've Brian and I have pointed people at it because
I even popped it up the other day when I wanted to do some testing real quick and
Yeah.
didn't want to bring up a bunch of stuff. I just
Brian actually, I don't know if he ended up doing it or not. He was talking about using it on a laptop he had that didn't have all the development environment
Right.
stuff set up. And that was like the problem I had, not the problem, but lack of problem I had, because I do have all the development tools on my laptop. It was like the easiest thing to get it took me like 30 seconds to get it running. And I was just like,
I learned was it you that told me X code was required?
yeah,
I was going to make the Mac one, and didn't realize that I had Xcode on my machine.
Yeah. And because like I have it, so I didn't even
So
it didn't even register.
The instructions that I wrote didn't include a requirement. I've updated those, Kai.
Okay.
If you want to
Okay.
move them over.
Yeah, I want to thank you guys. I mean, what you guys are doing is it's going to open this up to a lot more people to actually start using this. So it's going to be fantastic.
I like to write stuff down, and some of it's legible, some of it's intelligible, and some of it's not. So.
Okay, and the other thing I want to highlight again is that I actually have installed this on Raspberry Pi, and I mean, main thing is just to compile some of these libraries on Raspberry Pi libraries, but it will do that. So it's actually it's working. And now that if the Indie driver is working, I can actually now hook up like one of these Linux-based Planetarium software, which is fantastic. And
I'm looking forward to that.
That'd be fun.
Yeah, but yeah, that's cool.
Fantastic. All right. Thank you very much. Anything else you want to ask, Stephen?
I think that was it. Just kind of an overview of it, and like I say, it's very much a work in progress. So I'm probably going to work on it this weekend. I have some clear skies on Saturday and maybe Sunday, so I'm there's a few extra things I want to add, and I know Brian's was talking about the same.
I've got some stuff I want to add too, Steve, if you'll let me in on this. No,
it's fine. Once I think once I get the merge, once I get this latest thing in there, because it basically was not a complete rewrite, but a massive restructuring of the app.py. I think it would just end up producing like a massive number of merge conflicts. So I really want to get that in there. Hopefully I'll clean it up tonight and get it the PR submitted. Because once I do, then yeah, I mean, I created it because it first partly to solve a need for me, but also to help to make it more approachable for those who might not, kind of like with the installing all the tools. Not everybody has that expertise, or even I know in the past sometimes I just didn't want to mess with it, or like especially if I'm installing it on a Windows box or something, and I'm like, I don't use Windows that much, and I don't want to have to like do a bunch of setup on there. So I think, and like how Brian's was going to put it, use it on a Raspberry Pi, and kind of then, because you're not running all the other software, and then you can actually, just kind of, because it would be hard to otherwise do it with like submitting API requests. Because like I say, he was going to be out camping. But yeah, that's all I have, and I'm on Discord, of course. And so if you think of things,
YouTube channel? I couldn't find you. I went to YouTube and tried, and
yeah, it's kind of, it's not necessarily the best name.
okay,
it's a random, what do I call it? Well, it's Erewhon, EREWHON 42 is the handle, but it's like
right.
Random Erewhon is the name of the channel, for lack of. I mean, it was originally like literally I had 2 channels, and it was like my totally random channel, and it turned into an astronomy channel.
Can you post it on the Discord so people can?
Yeah, I'll do that.
And one quick request for your app is that I would love to see an active stack image as part of your GUI.
Yeah.
So that's actually a good point. I've been wondering how the best way to do that, because I was looking at some of the API calls, and I wasn't 100% sure.
I just showed that just early, right before this. I showed you the 2 APIs where you can get the last stack image, and then that will return a URL for the image itself, so you can actually display the URL.
So that does that return it while it's live stacking?
Yeah.
Okay.
It essentially brings the very last image that's saved.
Okay. Because I hadn't been able to run a test while I was live stacking, because I was doing most of the development during the day. Yeah, but yeah. Okay.
So isn't there there's a library, I think, for the web, for the browsers to display the JPEG, or we could just embed it, couldn't we? And just when it refreshed it, pick it up.
Yeah. Well, just kind of like how I have it set up right now with on this screen, where I like these screens automatically refresh periodically, and I actually, in the code, there's actually it was an aspirational thing. Oh, it's not in this version, but I actually had created a /live. There's actually a template there. But it doesn't do anything right now, because I wasn't sure. Like, the biggest thing was trying to get the image, and I didn't know how to do that. Okay.
Let me interrupt in a second. I think this 1-hour session is going to end in like 3 minutes.
Yeah, I saw a pop up.
You guys have, if you have more in-depth questions you want to ask, I can open up the second session. If not, let me know what you'd like to do. Any questions?
Kai, I'd like for you to in some way demonstrate the below, using the deck offset. Okay. I mean, I've heard you describe it. I've read it. I must be thick. I still don't get it. Okay. So
let me start this next session then, and then we can anybody who want to stay, ask any questions about Seestars and what I know about the app. I can stay behind it and answer. Okay. Let me stop this one, and I'll start the next one. All right.
Right.
Thank you.
Great.
Thanks.